So this happy pic of me was taken in 1999. I was a senior in college, and it was right after dance practice. I was really, really happy. And I remember exactly where I was about a week and a half later. I was sitting in the back of my used minivan in a campus parking lot when I decided that I was going to commit suicide. And I went from deciding to a full-blown planning very quickly. And I came this close to the edge of the precipice. It's the closest I've ever come. And the only reason I took my finger off the trigger was thanks to a few lucky coincidences. And after the fact, that's what scared me the most, the element of chance. So I became very methodical about testing different ways that I could manage my ups and downs, which has proven to be a good investment. Many normal people might have, say, 6 to 10 major depressive episodes in their lives. I have bipolar depression, runs in my family. I've had 50 plus at this point, and I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of at-bats, many rounds in the ring with darkness, taken good notes. So I thought rather than get up and give any type of recipe for success or highlight reel, I would share my recipe for avoiding self-destruction, and certainly self-paralysis. And the tool I've found, which has proven to be the most reliable safety net for emotional freefall, is actually the same tool that has helped me to make my best business decisions, but that is secondary. And it is Stoicism. That sounds boring. You might think of Spock, or might conjure an image like this. A cow standing in the rain. It's not sad. It's not particularly happy. It's just an impassive creature taking whatever life sends its way. You might not think of the ultimate competitor, say Bill Belichick, head coach of the New England Patriots. He has the all-time NFL record for Super Bowl titles. And Stoicism has spread like wildfire in the top of the NFL ranks as a means of mental toughness training in the last few years. You might not think of the founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, George Washington, to name but 3 students of Stoicism. George Washington actually had a play about a Stoic. This was Cato, a Tragedy, performed for his troops at Valley Forge to keep them motivated. So why would people of action focus so much on an ancient philosophy? This seems very academic. And I would encourage you to think about Stoicism a little bit differently, as an operating system for thriving in high-stress environments, for making better decisions. And it all started here, kind of, on a porch. So around 300 BC, in Athens, someone named Zeno of Citium taught many lectures walking around a painted porch, a stoa, that later became Stoicism. And in the Greco-Roman worlds, people used Stoicism as a comprehensive system for doing many, many things. But for our purposes, chief among them was training yourself to separate what you can control from what you cannot control, and then doing exercises to focus exclusively on the former. This decreases emotional reactivity, which can be a superpower. Conversely, let's say you're a quarterback, you miss a pass, you get furious with yourself, that could cost you a game. If you're a CEO and you fly off the handle at a very valued employee because of a minor infraction, that could cost you the employee. If you're a college student who, say, is in a downward spiral and you feel helpless and hopeless, unabated, that could cost you your life. So the stakes are very, very high. And there are many tools in the toolkit to get you there. I'm going to focus on one that completely changed my life in 2004. And it found me then because of 2 things. A very close friend, young guy my age, died of pancreatic cancer unexpectedly. And then my girlfriend, who I thought I was going to marry, walked out. She'd had enough, and she didn't give me a Dear John letter, but she did give me this, a Dear John plaque. I'm not making this up, I've kept it. Business hours are over at 5 o'clock. She gave this to me to put on my desk for personal health because at the time I was working on my first real business. I had no idea what I was doing. I was working 14-plus hour days, 7 days a week. I was using stimulants to get going. I was using depressants to wind down and go to sleep. It was a disaster. Felt completely trapped, and I bought a book on simplicity to try to find answers. And I did find a quote that made a big difference in my life, which was, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," by Seneca the Younger, who's a famous Stoic writer. That took me to his letters, which took me to the exercise, premeditatio malorum, which means the premeditation of evils. And in simple terms, this is visualizing the worst-case scenarios in detail that you fear, preventing you from taking action so that you can take action to overcome that paralysis. My problem was monkey mind, super loud, very incessant. Just thinking my way through problems doesn't work. I needed to capture my thoughts on paper, so I created a written exercise that I called fear setting, like goal setting for myself. And it consists of 3 pages. Super simple. The first page is right here. What if I ... question mark. This is whatever you fear, whatever is causing you anxiety, whatever you're putting off. Could be asking someone out, ending a relationship, asking for a promotion, quitting a job, starting a company, could be anything. For me, it was taking my first vacation in 4 years and stepping away from my business for a month to go to London, where I could stay in a friend's room for free, to either remove myself as a bottleneck in the business or shut it down. In the first column, define, you're writing down all of the worst things you can imagine happening if you take that step. And you want 10 to 20. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll give you 2 examples. So one was, I'll go to London, it'll be rainy, I'll get depressed, the whole thing will be a huge waste of time. Number 2, I'll miss a letter from the IRS, and I'll get audited, or raided, or shut down, or some such. And then you go to the prevent column. In that column, you write down the answer to, what could I do to prevent each of these bullets from happening, or at the very least, decrease the likelihood, even a little bit. So for getting depressed in London, well, I could take a portable blue light with me, use it for 15 minutes in the morning. I knew that helped to stave off depressive episodes. For the IRS bit, I could change the mailing address on file with the IRS, so the paperwork would go to my accountant instead of to my UPS address. Easy peasy. Then we go to repair. So if the worst case scenarios happened, what could you do to repair the damage, even a little bit? Or who could you ask for help? So in the first case, London, well, I could fork over some money, fly to Spain, get some sun, undo the damage, if I got into a funk. In the case of missing a letter from the IRS, I could call a friend who is a lawyer, or ask, say, a professor of law, what they would recommend, who I should talk to, how had people handled this in the past. So one question to keep in mind as you're doing this first page is, has anyone else in the history of time, less intelligent or less driven, figured this out? Chances are the answer is yes. The second page is simple. What might be the benefits of an attempt or a partial success? So you can see we're playing up the fears and really taking a conservative look at the upside. So if you attempted whatever you're considering, might you build confidence, develop skills, emotionally, financially, otherwise? What might be the benefits of, say, a base hit? Spend 10 to 15 minutes on this. Page 3. This might be the most important, so don't skip it. The cost of inaction. Humans are very good at considering what might go wrong if we try something new, say, ask for a raise. What we don't often consider is the atrocious cost of the status quo, not changing anything. So you should ask yourself, if I avoid this action or decision, and actions and decisions like it, what might my life look like in, say, 6 months, 12 months, 3 years? Any further out, it starts to seem intangible. And really get detailed. Again, emotionally, financially, physically, whatever. And when I did this, it painted a terrifying picture. I was self-medicating. My business was going to implode at any moment, at all times, if I didn't step away. My relationships were fraying or failing. And I realized that inaction was no longer an option for me. Those are the 3 pages. That's it. That's fear setting. And after this, I realized that on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being minimal impact, 10 being maximal impact, if I took the trip, I was risking a 1 to 3 of temporary and reversible pain for an 8 to 10 of positive, life-changing impact that could be semi-permanent. So I took the trip. None of the disasters came to pass. There were some hiccups, sure. I was able to extricate myself from the business. I ended up extending that trip for a year and a half around the world, and that became the basis for my first book that leads me here today. And I can trace all of my biggest wins and all of my biggest disasters averted back to doing fear setting at least once a quarter. It's not a panacea. You'll find that some of your fears are very well-founded, but you shouldn't conclude that without first putting them under a microscope. And it doesn't make all the hard times, the hard choices easy, but it can make a lot of them easier. So I'd like to close with a profile of one of my favorite modern-day Stoics. This is Jerzy Gregorek. He is a 4-time world champion in Olympic weightlifting, political refugee, published poet, 62 years old. He can still kick my ass and probably most asses in this room. He's an impressive guy. I spend a lot of time on his stoa, his porch, asking life and training advice. He was part of the Solidarity in Poland, which was a nonviolent movement for social change that was violently suppressed by the government. He lost his career as a firefighter. Then his mentor, a priest, was kidnapped, tortured, killed, and thrown into a river. He was then threatened. He and his wife had to flee Poland, bounce from country to country until they landed in the US with next to nothing, sleeping on floors. He now lives in Woodside, California, in a very nice place. And of the 10,000 plus people I've met in my life, I would put him in the top 10 in terms of success and happiness. And there's a punchline coming, so pay attention. I sent him a text a few weeks ago asking him, had he ever read any Stoic philosophy? And he replied with 2 pages of text. This is very unlike him. He is a terse dude. And not only was he familiar with Stoicism, but he pointed out for all of his most important decisions, his inflection points, when he stood up for his principles and ethics, how he had used Stoicism and something akin to fear setting, which blew my mind. And he closed with 2 things. Number 1, he couldn't imagine any life more beautiful than that of a Stoic. And the last was his mantra, which he applies to everything, and you can apply to everything. Easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. The hard choices, what we most fear doing, asking, saying, these are very often exactly what we most need to do. And the biggest challenges and problems we face will never be solved with comfortable conversations, whether it's in your own head or with other people. So I encourage you to ask yourselves, where in your lives right now might defining your fears be more important than defining your goals? Keeping in mind all the while the words of Seneca, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What do you mean by asking that question? Scott, you seem to be eager to go forward.
I'm
Come
just
forward
asking what I
first.
see on the TV, the guy says, easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life. So I think I would fill what is empty and empty what is filled.
So you want to go first?
It sounds like he's...
Yeah, you can go on. Come on, Scott.
Then you can sit down and rest.
You can finish off, and then you can pick the next person.
What do you think about the topic?
Can you relate?
I'd like to see that guy try and kick Liquid's ass, but spray him down. I think that... Hi to fellow Toastmasters, no honored guest. My name is Scott. I'll start off by saying that.
Hello, Scott.
Hi. I think that the topic was interesting, how you have this Polish immigrant who has been exiled from his country, who's every door that he is trying to open is being shot on him, left, right, and center. And most of us would either probably give up and get frustrated, and this is the speaker's mentor that it's the most extraordinary guy that he's met, and it's just the guy is 62 years of age, his mentor, and And he never gave up. He kept going, striving and believing that something good would come out of all the turmoil that he's suffered. You can't suffer for your entire life. I don't believe it. You're going to suffer at times. Life's not easy. But there's also good that is going to come. Something good is going to happen. You just got to keep doing good. And it's a force. It's a karma. I believe in karma as well as God looking down on us. And when you do something good's going to happen to you later. But you got to do something good from your heart. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to do something good here. Say, I want this. And it's really got to come genuinely from your heart to do something good. And I think that this guy's talking about his business. He didn't run his business ran him. Just doing things in moderation and slowing down a lot. Everything will fall into place. We'll just keep going, stay focused, and it's going to work out. Especially if you got Jersey Gregors. I don't even pronounce his last name, but if you got him as a mentor and you see that people, I think life is tough at times. Just like what other people are trying to do. People are trying to climb Mount Everest. And they succeed. And I don't know how much it is to climb Mount Everest, but you're looking at like 150,000 probably or more, with like a 70% chance that you're going to die. But they still go ahead and do it. And that's pretty amazing. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
So who do you want to pick to go next?
I'd like to pick Harvey to go next.
All right.
Thanks, Harvey.
Fellow Toastmasters, honored
Hold on.
guests, if there are any. Yeah, can you fit me in the frame? Well, it's just an interesting talk, I guess, because I'm usually listening to pastors. They often talk about the spiritual impact of fears. And I think the scripture that comes to mind is God has not given you a spirit of fear, but peace, love, and sound mind. So what I was thinking while I was watching this is that he's really talking about the sound mind part of that scripture. He's talking about practical thought experiments. Those sounds very mental, as in it's all about thinking through things. And I think some of the points he made are very useful, like actually facing up to your fears and going, oh, what's the worst that possibly could happen, and how could I mitigate that, and if I didn't do anything. That was the one that stood out for me. I've never really thought about, what if I didn't do this, what's the impact? So for me, the talk's interesting because it covers 1/3 of what I think would be the holistic solution to fear. So it's probably interesting because usually in my experience, we don't hear about the brain part of things. In church, we might speak about the spiritual side of things, but I do think that if you're just limiting it to thought life, then you are only doing 1/3 of what's available. Peace, love, and sound mind. Well, it sounds like I was hoping he was going to say get in community and have good friends and mentors. He did kind of say that, but I think that would be one thing that would really help if you are suffering in fear or depression, is to get around people that can encourage you and get some love. Right? That's why we like to meet up at Toastmasters or whatever we do, shoot pool or play video games. We like to hang out with each other. And peace, well, I like a good sit by the seaside in a nice peaceful area, or a holiday or something like that. So I think there is more to it than just what he's saying, but obviously this is a formula that he's found really useful. I think I may have to go and read up on Stoicism, but yeah, my thoughts on this are that's 1/3 of the solution. I would love to hear someone talk about how do you get peace, how do you get love, and I think that would be a good full package that would really help someone who's, and I think we all do, face fears. So that was what I thought about the topic, and what I liked, what I did not like as well, that it was only 1/3. Can I relate to this topic? I think I'm more in the very rarely have depression, but I can relate. You get in a funk and you feel like I don't want to get out of the funk. It's too, and you get worse and worse and worse. So I think you have to be proactive. Yeah, and that's all I have. I can't think of a story that relates to this, and that is my conclusion for this topic. It's a third. I'd like 2 more TED topics, please, on this subject. On the other parts. The physical and what would it be? Mental, physical, and spiritual parts of that. So I shall now ask Ben to come up.
Okay.
To give his opinions on this.
Okay.
He's furiously writing notes.
So I should have finished it. I should look for the format better because I spoke that entire. And I'm hot.
You're hot.
I'm react well to hot temperatures. I'm not hurry. I'll survive.
You've got some.
I don't like this extreme heat.
Are you ready?
Want some water?
No, I'm all good, thanks. No, I'm fine.
Planning.
Yeah.
Today was a hot one.
Today is a hot day.
Yeah, it is.
All right. All right, Ben.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmaster, today...
Mr. Timer.
Maybe. Thank you. Fellow Toastmaster, I think this particular topic is extremely interesting. And for a person that actually almost prepared for a full suicidal act in 1999, and in less than 5 years, around 2004, he rebounds. And I don't know what day is this particular TED Talk. And today he become a leader of trying to tell people his whole life story. So I think it's worth to analyze his kind of life journey. One very interesting thing he mentioned is we suffer more in imagination than in reality, which somehow I ponder a second and then I quickly, kind of trying to write it down, because I think that is quite true. Because a lot of us, maybe during our upbringing, we were trained to be more cautious, more conservative, especially as Chinese. So we were trained, try not to touch this and that when we were really young. So normally that is the conservative side of us. And maybe we really do suffer more in imagination than in reality. Actually, if we are brave enough to take that step, maybe the outcome is better. And one thing he also mentioned, which is very interesting, is the cost of inaction, which I think Harvey also mentioned. We oftentimes feel that, there's a cost if you take any wrong action. But now he is trying to argue that actually in human, you should think about the cost of inaction, which somehow make me think that at one point in time I read about a book. Most people when they die on their sick bed, actually they regret the most is the stuff that they didn't do. It's not about the stuff that they did. Maybe they dated 2 girls at the same time. At that time they regretted it, but when they are really dying, they really don't regret that, And okay, that may be a bad example, but what I'm just trying to say is get back your attention, right? So now I have their focus now. So I think the cause of inaction is something that all of us, maybe we can go back and review the video again, and then we can elaborate a little bit more in our mind, what is the stuff that we really want to do, but we hesitate. And one day, just imagine that tomorrow is your dying day. Why don't you, take the initiative, try to do it? Because what else can happen except you step away from your comfort zone, which most people are not comfortable, but let's just try it. And then he offered a methodology to calculate and balance that fear by analyzing. You have to define what is that fear, and you have to try to prevent it, which is very strategic. So you already find a solution to prevent your psychological fear, and at the same time you find a way to repair it, which is he offered a way that maybe you can seek help and stuff like that, which for us as Christian, I think is very good, because we seek help sometimes by praying, right? Because the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So at the end of the day, if we want to take that step, if we're still unsure, maybe we pray about it and be humble in front of the Lord. So somehow maybe we'll be enlightened and say, why not just do it? Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
2 seconds to spare. Timed.
I'll give it to Ben.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, here.
Okay.
So I want to introduce the next gentleman, which is Fred.
Fred.
Fred, yes, yes.
Well, you're sitting there.
You got more experience than
Yeah.
Is that what you need?
Alright, I'll just be very honest right now. I haven't really paid too much attention. I was too busy filming. So I'll go from pretty much what I've kind of caught and somewhat understood. So pretty much in that subject, it's a very kind of heartfelt thing for me because I have that exact issue that he was speaking about. Pretty much when you hit depression, it's terrible. You go down, you don't want to do anything. And to try to snap out and bounce out of it is so difficult. So the way I see it is, it just takes everything out of you. Like you don't want anything. You don't, like it's that bad where you just don't care. You don't care, you want to give up, you want to totally like just sleep, sit still, just do nothing. And I understand how that this sounds extremely negative, but that's what depression is like. Thank you. But on the other hand, though, trying to snap out of that situation and try to hope for the best and all that, I get those waves. I get those good times and I get those bad times. I'm mostly like this. So when I do get those good times, though, I appreciate them. I'm so grateful to have them because the fact that they help me to keep going. They're the situations and the moments that actually make the best of it, you know. Like so, when I'm in that up mode, I just do it, have the best of it, and enjoy it as much as I can. Because who knows how long this gonna last? It could be a couple weeks, it could be a couple months, or it could even be just a couple hours, and then I'm right back down in that stinky, gross mode that I don't like, and that nobody actually likes. And yeah, I'm gonna end it now because I don't know what else I'm gonna say. Thank you.
Thanks, Frederick.
Frederick.
Frederick. All right. Yeah, so welcome, Toastmasters. I'm going to try to be honest and talk about this as well. Same with Fred. We've been talking about the past couple of weeks about how we're up and down, and sometimes we don't really care about what we want to do because we're in the down stage, and it's and for this topic, a lot of it is fear of reaching out. For me, fear of exposing my soft underbelly, which is very big and round.
We're all there.
Yeah. Exposing myself and and letting everybody see how actually vulnerable I am. And I'd rather, this is probably completely different from what the word means, but I'm trying to put on a stoic face, try to stiff upper lip, and walk through it and show that I have a big shield of suit of armor protecting me, when in fact it's made of glass and could break at any moment and expose everything that I'm afraid to expose to everybody. And I probably have said so much fluff that it doesn't mean anything anymore. So it's tough when things get on a down spiral and you don't feel like even doing the exercises he mentioned, just going through the potential tough what could go wrong? What are the things we could do right? At that stage, when you're down at that bottom, everything that you do doesn't seem to matter. Everything that you try to do doesn't make any sense to you. It doesn't register in your brain that this is important. Even the little things. Even going for a walk. Taking a picture of something cute. Like Fred. Aww.
So sweet.
Yes. And Scott.
Oh, you don't have to say that. Maybe you're filled with sugar.
Liquid ass.
I'm filled with liquid ass.
Fill me up with liquid ass. All right. Yeah. So, when you're down at that bottom of the trough, and you realize that it's at the bottom of the trough, it's tough going back uphill, and you'd rather it be easy and just stay down there, but eventually you have to climb up there and get up there, and it takes a lot of hard work. I've had a lot of tough conversations about why I don't care about this, why it doesn't matter to me, why it should matter to me. And sometimes it's hard facing that fact that that I didn't pay attention when the first guy came last year to update those tags, because it didn't matter to me for the fire extinguishers. But that's a big deal here. That's could endanger everybody here, or send Scott and Marion to jail. Yeah. But so things like that, it didn't matter to me, and I don't want it to not matter. I want things to matter to me. The hard thing I have right now is figuring out, no, I actually know what matters to me, is keeping myself caring about it to the point that I can keep it mattering, that I can keep focusing on it. Because once you go down that hill, you start throwing things out the window. You don't want to, this email, just a reply. I can just say yes or no. I can put it off for tomorrow, and then 3 weeks later, it's gone. It's in the cloud. It's out there. It doesn't matter anymore. This little task of fixing my car engine. That doesn't matter. It'll still run tomorrow, the day after. It's not gonna. 3 months later, it'll blow up. Right. So things like that. So I hope I can keep these things in mind, but one step at a time, one day at a time, and in the words of easy choice, hard life, hard choice, easy life, right? And I've been making a lot of easy choices. So.
Actually, I got a good comment on that subject.
Yeah.
Trying to get help on this subject is actually very difficult. Because the thing is, psychologists aren't cheap.
Yep.
And there's few and far that is willing to help with depression. Because it's such a confusing subject that the doctors don't even want to handle it.
Yeah, the doctors don't want to handle it, or
it's not enough.
They can't really.
It's not profitable.
It is not
you.
covered by BC Medical, right? It's
No.
not covered by BC Medical?
No, unless you're like.
Unless you're severe,
Very
like
psychotic.
Oh, I see.
very almost suicidal
I see.
depression.
Because
Yeah.
based on this particular
Through
author,
the hospital.
he was saying that after he stopped trying to kill himself, then he trying to be starting his own business, and then he start taking some sort of pill during the daytime to make himself
Yeah,
very
uppers during the day.
very excited and do it, and then at night he cannot sleep, and then he take another type of medication, and so
Yeah.
force himself to sleep.
Yeah,
You know, this type of vicious cycle is very dangerous. Actually, I think psychologists can help him, right? In that case, no. But
Well,
I think
in that case, they're covered, yeah.
They're
But
covered.
In cases like
the mild case,
like-
maybe not.
mine, Fred's,
Yeah.
most of the people at UGM,
Right.
I mean, that's how relapse happens,
That's right.
right?
Exactly.
That's how relapse happens.
They
That's
get
how.
that
That's
state
right. So I think this
mind.
particular program, you guys pick it, right? I think this particular TED
I
Talk,
picked it.
you pick it.
Yeah.
I think the UGM team and here, maybe once in a while we can play it again because he did talk really fast.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah,
if you
watch it again.
however if you watch it again and again, maybe you can send me the link.
Yeah, I'll
Because I
send
know
it.
someone that maybe benefit from this too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he's offering himself as the example,
Yeah.
and at the same time how he rebounds, which I think he was talking about a porch with a chair,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think he's trying to visually tell people that, you know what,
It goes
find
back
yourself,
and forward and back and forward.
find yourself that porch,
Yeah,
and then relax a little bit,
yeah,
and then think about, you know, the whole thing a little bit with a good friend,
Yeah.
and then maybe it will help. You are right, psychologists are very expensive. Yeah.
psychology very expensive.
Very, and it may not be effective too because they are not really your friend. They are just a trained analytical person.
Well,
and-
for psychologists,
That's what you
it will take 5 or 6 sessions before anybody's comfortable with somebody new.
Exactly.
Right?
and then you know
can-
how much is that 5 section?
And 5 sessions, like 200 bucks a session or whatever.
I think maybe more.
The cheapest.
Yeah, they're the
cheapest.
cheapest. The cheapest.
one.
Yeah.
Cheapest, 200
Yeah.
bucks a session.
I was told they were
And
kind
the
of like
free one-
lawyers, so they are very expensive.
And the free
Yeah.
ones are students,
Yeah.
and they're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so they're not there yet, and maybe in 5 or 6 weeks,
Yeah.
they have to move on to
Then another class, yeah.
Another class.
That's
yeah.
right.
We don't.
So I
we
think it's
don't
better to be
have-
like a small group like
Yeah.
this. We know each other well, and if you can find some mentor here.
Maybe that's what we should do is actually work together and try to find someone like a group or something that.
Yeah.
That's somewhat.
Mentorship.
That's
There's a
somewhat.
lot, there's a lot
mentorship.
of people in there that could use this opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We can have
There's us
some.
and there's more. There's other people. A lot of people can use this kind of. mental health.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's right.
So we
I think
should-
my
we should
oldest son
work on
needs some
trying
help
to
too.
find
Daniel,
that.
my oldest son, he is quite lost too in his life. That's why I try to invite him here. But then it takes time, as you said. Just like it takes at least 5
Yeah.
contact in order to warm up, break the ice.
Like, I'll be honest, legitimately, I've been off school for almost 4 weeks now.
By the way, that was a good one. Let's just sit down and continue our conversation.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to-
You engage us really well, so
Yeah, I got the conversation going.
so we're it's so spontaneous. It become a conversational piece.
do we want to
Yeah.
do table topics or?
Yeah, we just yeah.
Okay. All right. I have one for Mr. Golo.
Oh,
Yes. Hearing about Stoicism here,
yeah.
how did it differ from the definition in your head?
Actually, how do you spell that word?
Stoicism. STOIC. Stoic. That's the root. Yeah.
STOIC.
Yeah.
Stoicism.
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 Yeah.
That's right.
I imagined it was something to do with Greek philosophers, but my understanding of, or my misconception of what I thought Stoicism was is pretty much what that cow looked like. Must keep going, must keep going. It's kind of not up and not down. It's the way of dealing with things by saying, I'm not going to succumb to depression, but I'm not going to be happy. I'm going to be stoic and just keep going. Like that. That's stoic. The stoic face is kind of very flat. But actually what he's saying Stoicism is a very mindful approach to dealing with fear, which is interesting because we got talking about depression, and he started off with depression, but really he's talking about dealing with fears and things that would cause you to slide into depression. So That was totally not what I expected. I thought Stoicism was basically trying to keep yourself flat, not getting too excited, not getting too down in the dumps, but just maintaining yourself as a flat Spock, because that's what he said to begin with. I went, yeah, that's what I think Stoicism is. So it was quite an eye-opener in that regard, which is why I should go and really read up on it. And
Yeah, I need to read about that.
Yeah.
didn't know it was to do with painted porches. No idea. So now I know something I didn't know before I came. So that was my answer to that one.
Thank you.
Nice.
I shall call up Mr. Ben.
Oh,
You see, we're not doing it. We're doing it.
yeah.
We're doing it out of order.
Oh, there's a
Surprise.
surprise element there. There's a surprise,
You're on your toes.
surprise element.
Stoicism.
Randomization.
I just find the translation of that word, which is just the sound of it in Chinese.
Are you aware of any other competing philosophies or methods of dealing with fear or depression that's not Stoicism? Yeah, not drugs. I did say philosophy. I don't think that counts. Unless you're a Rastafarian, I think.
Oh, okay, all this big terminology
Yeah.
of philosophy. Fellow Toastmaster, I think from our culture, we have Buddhism, we have Confucianism, we have Taoism. I would say out of these three main branch of philosophy, it is Taoism that I think somehow they have a particular thought process that they deal with controlling of emotion or pain. I think maybe Buddhism have that too, but I'm not familiar with Buddhism that much. But Taoism, I'm not familiar too, but I study a little bit. I think Taoism, somehow, they study the logic of yin and yang, which is the yin is kind of like the darkness of the world, kind of like the moon, that type of more dim type of light, dimmer energy. And yang is the bright sun, the very forceful, powerful energy. So the Tao people, they try to always balance the yin and the yang. And that is, in fact, I would argue, the only religion that is derived from the mainland of China by itself. Because Buddhism is actually from India. It's not really from China. Buddhism is from India and then spread over Japan, China, and everything. And Christianity is from the West, obviously. And Tao, when I say from the West, is when they got into China, it's actually from European missionary people. And Taoism by itself is fundamental Chinese stuff. So in fact, our Chinese medicine, when you measure the pulse here and a particular way of measuring the pulse, and Chinese medicine, the balance of yin and yang and everything, is actually Taoism. And in that particular discipline, they did mention that the whole universe should be in equilibrium. The reason why people get sick, because he is off balance somewhere. So once you bring that balance, which they base on the 5 elements, if you balance them, then the person will feel comfortable. And that is another way for them to balance pain. Because they also, I think, believe pain, happiness, angry, or like they have about 7 elements of human emotion. So pain, angry, fear, sad,
Jealousy.
and jealousy. They have a few core elements of human emotion. What they are saying is all of them will actually affect different organs of your body. So if you are a very easily angry person, it's very bad for your liver. And in fact, that was proven by one of my friends. He passed away already. He passed away when he was 75. He always need to carry a pouch here to rinse his liver or something. Like some people have to rinse it because the liver lost the function. So what happened is, one day when his wife was talking to him, he got very upset at his wife. Some liquid dripped out from that pouch, and it's very stinky, more stinky than that fart thing, right?
No way.
And then somehow he came to tell me later on saying that, hey Ben, Chinese medicine is quite correct. When you're actually upset, something happened with your system. It will force some more liquid come from your liver, and then it is actually very stinky. Yeah, so what he's trying to say is, in a lot of way, if you can control your fear, you can control your emotion and things like that, actually your health is more balanced. Or if you don't control it, all of a sudden you get very upset, you yell at these people, or all of a sudden you cry very hard, or worse, all of a sudden you laugh very hard because like you win the lottery. You know, a lot of people, when they are so happy like this, they get heart attack, they die. Yeah. Oh, I won $1 million. And then they collapse. Yeah. So again, somehow I feel that I'm not a Taoist person. I'm a Christian, right? But somehow the Taoism has certain element of it. It's very interesting. So if you ask me about beside that person, what he just shared, that Stoicism, I would say Christianity is the best to control fear, I think, because the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. But other than that, from my own culture, I would say it's Taoism. Thank you. So maybe I will have Andy.
Okay, I thought you would pick Scott.
No, you see, the element of surprise.
All right.
Skip one, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was what I was thinking.
Okay. So we can ask any, or just about the topics, right?
Either about the topic or ask any question, yeah.
Okay. So in terms of fear, today is kind of like the fear topic, right? Fear, yeah. So what is your most daring decision in your life? Jump off the cliff with bungee cord, or with those glider or whatever. Like, what is something that you challenge us that, you know what, guys, I have done this. I don't think any one of you have ever even thought of. That is my most brave heart moment. Relatively speaking, I mean, actually compared to yourself, not the rest of us.
Getting married.
Yeah. You're married?
No, I'm not.
I know him for 30 years. If he got married without telling me, then that would be his most fearful moment.
That's my most fearful moment. Yes, I get beat up so many times by so many people.
Exactly. Oh, you have a secret wedding without telling us? Yeah. You'll be in so much trouble, you know that?
No, that could go either way. For some people, they would be so happy. Some people would be so angry.
No, you need to let us know.
What would be my most daring moment?
Good question.
All right, fellow Toastmasters. My most daring was probably when my dad suggested that I should go live in Shanghai. I was born here, was raised here, I educated here, 20 some odd years. I worked here for a couple of years before then. By the time I was like 22, 23, Dad said, why don't you go to China for a bit? I was hesitant at first. I had no idea what China was like. China, this is different from Taiwan. Taiwan I've been, it's interesting, it's semi-developed, it's very high-tech. Hong Kong, skyscrapers everywhere. I watch movies about the gangs and the triad in Hong Kong. It seemed very cool and whatnot.
It's not true.
It's not true. It seemed all very cool. There's also gangs and triads in Taiwan, but anything. But there's nothing about China, mainland China. China. Yes, and I didn't know the language very well. I can speak it. I was very proud I could speak it. I thought, I will fit in perfectly. I got over there, it's like, what are you saying? It's kind of like talking in broken English here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Or French Canadian English. French Canadian English. And it was scary at first. It was very scary the first couple of weeks. I didn't know where I would be living. The place I was living in, I was supposed to be living in, there were some problems with it. They had tenants in it. There was no keys or no air conditioning. It was humid, hot.
China's really hot. Yeah.
In Shanghai, it's
summertime so hot.
39 degrees
And
on
it's really
average.
humid. Yeah.
But the weather report does not go over 39.5 degrees. Never does it go over 39.5 degrees. Because if it goes over, they have to let everybody have a holiday and treat everybody to ice creams. So
What?
they never reported above 39.5 degrees centigrade. So
Communist country.
yes.
Communist country. You need
They
to understand
control-
communists.
Yes.
Oh, I follow you.
Communists.
So they control it. I didn't know what I was supposed to eat. I mean, at most there was one McDonald's in Shanghai, and I didn't know exactly where it was. I know the largest, at the time when I went, I know the largest McDonald's in the world was in Beijing, but that was like 2 hours away by plane.
By plane.
I didn't go
By plane. You don't fly 2 hours from McDonald's.
A decent hamburger or steak at a bar would be probably like $50 Canadian.
Wow.
Yeah, it was expensive. But I went over there and said, hey, this is going to be interesting. I'll explore, I'll have fun. So probably the most daring time when I was there, I actually walked probably, I think I recorded it once. It was probably about 50 kilometers throughout the city, just zigzagging, north, south, east, west, going to places I've never been, never taken to, none of the touristy spots, all of these hole in the walls. I was lucky. I'm 6'2". Everybody there is about that, right? And so nobody would dare
Steal your wallet.
steal my wallet or try to trick me into. Oh, that was another thing I was worried. Trick me into something and then enslave me. Oh, you hear stories about human trafficking and all this, and maybe one day I'll have a scar here and one less kidney. Yeah, they're very sneaky about that. They take the kidney, they resect your bowel, and yeah, they shorten the intestine by so many lengths. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it's very huge. So it was scary at first, and then I didn't want things to change, so I stayed for 15 years.
So it was from which year to which year?
96, 97?
96, 97? Oh.
Yeah, I remember watching the Hong Kong reclamation on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
To return back to China.
Return back to China.
And you were already in Shanghai?
I was in China, yeah.
Oh, I see.
So that was a big, and
Oh, I thought you wanted to go. It was actually Scott wanted to
God
challenge.
suggested it, and I
But
thought,
if you don't want to go, he won't force you to the plane. You're so big. How can he force you?
well,
This is
my personality is once he suggests something, it's like,
Yeah. Maybe I
okay,
should consider it.
maybe I'll consider it.
Yeah.
You give me one more push, you're generally, okay, all right, okay, fine, sure.
months
Or just like that?
It's very easy.
And then you spend 15 years in Shanghai.
Yeah.
And
Very-
3 months down the road, you're on
Give me
the
50
plane.
bucks.
$50 and
Go on, you know you should.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So yeah, so one thing I never went and experienced again was China's National Day holiday. I went once out to try to see the fireworks. This is October 1st, China's National Day holiday. They have a very weird holiday system. It makes complete sense. They take all the holidays in the year and they squeeze it into 3 weekends.
Ooh.
So, yeah. So here you have one holiday about a month each,
Yeah.
right? There they have 3 days off in spring for Chinese New Year,
Yeah.
3 days off in May for Labor Day, the
Holiday,
founding
yeah.
of the Communist Party,
Yeah.
3 days off in October.
October, yeah.
For China's National Day holiday, birthday. And they squeeze the weekend above in front and the weekend in back into a 5-day holiday. And you have to work because they have to take the weekends off from somewhere else to squeeze that. So sometimes you're working a 10-day work week to catch up to it. And
Of course, Andy is talking about white collar. The blue collar is 28 work month.
yeah, 28-day work month.
So he's a white collar.
That's white collar,
If you're
yes.
actually working in the factory,
Yeah.
they treat you like a robot. So you're basically on the production line, you're on this station, you do this particular school, you just keep doing that for
just keep
28
doing
days.
that 28 days.
Yeah, for the
I think you get
communism, right? Yeah, communism.
some
They only have 1 day off for a month.
yeah, 1 day off
Yeah.
every 2 weeks, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they exploit you a little bit, then sometimes they will just say, "I will pay you overtime.
Well,
Why don't you take holiday?" Because what happened is the Western market, like Walmart, Kmart, they place big orders, and those orders are so big, they have to keep doing it, and then they don't want to change workstation. They want the worker to have expertise in that particular school. So once you change it, another person, then that's downtime.
You're
You know what I
retraining
mean?
the
You have to train somebody.
Yeah. So they want the
Yeah.
repetitive.
Were any of these
Huh.
workers kids?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's lots of child labor. in
Oh,
Japan.
that is actually. Oh, by the way, Walmart was caught that one of their factory was
Walmart's
using
a bad
prison labor,
organization.
child labor, and stuff like that. And then Walmart from then on sent a agreement to all the factory, ask for disclaimer, indemnify them.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't use child labor, you don't use prison labor, you don't
We signed this
use.
contract with you, so you don't use this,
Yeah.
this, is that. If you do, if you're caught, we have no,
No legal liability.
no-
So they just go, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, no legal liability. But then later on, then what happened is some guys still hire child labor, and then so Walmart still got into trouble. So what they do is then Walmart now have this red, yellow, and green light rating system. So what they did is they actually sent auditor from US. They will actually audit the age of that person. So let's say I saw his picture, and then I can actually call him up from the production line. Can you ask that person to come over? And then, by the way, tell me honestly, how old are you? And then they did find out that some guy, they were actually 15 only. But then he said, I don't know, I got an ID. They said I'm 18, so that's the
Fake
thing.
ID.
Fake- no, they have fake ID, seriously.
Oh, yeah.
oh, they have.
I'm
to make it legal to work.
No, what happened is the HR department of that factory, they don't have enough labor. So what they did is they fixed not that many, but a few thousand maybe, and then just
2,000, it's not many. It's not few thousand.
Yeah, so just fix some ID, but then they didn't know that Walmart will actually go and audit all the way. And once Walmart find that, give them a red light, they cannot be a supplier for Walmart for the next 3 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
I visited Foxconn, the factory that makes the iPhone.
That's right.
Do you know how large it is? It stretches about the size of Strathcona. One factory.
That's right.
The
That's right.
size is from Maine and Hastings up to about Venables
Huge.
and Clark.
That's right. It's owned by Taiwanese. Owned by Taiwanese.
Owned by
yeah,
Taiwanese,
that's right.
run by, yeah.
And then they have their dormitory inside though.
Yeah.
And then the interesting thing is when you drive by the freeway, you will see this iPhone maker called Foxconn. On the freeway, you can see, right? So they have a lot of dormitory. Guess what? In between the two buildings of dormitory, there's a net there. Do you know why? People are so stressed to work there, sometimes they just jump off the building and die. And then what happened is, Apple received a lot of criticism that why did you OEM with this factory? I mean, OEM meaning give the order to this factory for your iPhone. And then the owner of iPhone, he run the factory like military, right? Precision, cost control and everything. And then he said, okay, don't worry, I'll fix the problem. He asked the HR, hey, no one die again, right? And then the HR said,
Just like,
but people want to jump. Then what do I do? Okay, build a net. So they actually, it's really funny when
They
you
jump, but they don't even accomplish that.
No, guess what? If you go outside and find a place to jump, at least it's not within the.
It's not on Foxconn property, yeah.
It's not within our property.
Not our problem.
Not a problem,
That's
exactly.
right. Yeah, so they actually build a net. So next time when you drive by China freeway and see a factory between two buildings, there's a net there. You say, hey, why did they have the
Oh, wow,
net?
they have a trampoline. How
Yeah.
cool.
No, it's not trampoline. It's
It's
to
not a
avoid.
trampoline.
It's to avoid liability.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's to avoid liability
I think
because it's too stressful over there. Like if you cannot meet your yield
Yeah, I
meaning
know.
your
Quota.
yeah, your quota, your successful ratio. You make 100 unit, you need to have let's say 99.9 unit good, but you only have 80 unit good, so you have a lot of scrap. Oh, then you lose your bonus, your money. Then they feel very insulted, and then they walk to the balcony. Oh, I only have 80% yield. I better just jump off. So they just jump.
Oh yeah, that's just gonna make everything better.
Yeah.
So that's why they need the net to catch them. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
That was an interesting sharing. I
Yeah.
need to find out more about that trip that you have. 15 years trip.
All right.
I gotta
Scott?
go.
No? Fred?
I gotta go.
Fred. So I'll ask you this question and then you can,
I was trying to run away.
all right.
No running away.
The hardest choice, probably the same question, Ben. The hardest choice you ever made, and well, how did on the video it says hard choice, easy life. Did it make your life easier after you made that hard choice?
Ooh, hard choice, easy life. Good one.
I got like a few of them that are just
Okay.
sprawling by and trying to pick a good one. There's meeting my wife, there's coming to Vancouver, there's going back to school. You know what? Out of all the ones that are flying by, did not make it easier. It actually makes things more difficult. Hard decisions can actually, it can benefit you if you do the right decisions. But hard decisions can be the wrong decisions too. You can think, oh, I'm doing everything good, and then all of a sudden get married to the wrong person, and then regret the next 6 years of your life.
Good example. Good example.
On the other hand, though, you could decide to change your life around, come to a whole different province, come all the way to Vancouver, change your life around, and then things are still hard. They didn't get any easier. They actually just stayed as hard as they were before. Just now I have a little bit more ease, but I still got a long ways to go. So yeah, hard decisions don't make things always easier. Easy decisions, I've never really heard of an easy decision other than, playing around games and stuff like that, but decisions about life is never easy decisions. So.
Very good.